The Seattle Seahawks are Super Bowl champions, and the rest of the National Football League should be terrified. Seattle throttled the New England Patriots 29-13 in Super Bowl 60, and the result was never in doubt. 5 field goals from Jason Myers, a strip sack from Derek Hall, a fourth-quarter touchdown from Leonard Williams. The Patriots did not reach the scoreboard until the game was already gone. Now the champions sit in the strange quiet between mandatory minicamp and training camp, the deadest stretch on the football calendar. And one veteran pass rusher keeps surfacing in every conversation around this roster. Seattle wants more, and the hunt is far from finished. Sam Darnold ran this offense to a 14-3 record and the top seed in the conference. Jackson Smith-Njigba erupted into the best receiver in football and took home Offensive Player of the Year. Cooper Kupp and Rashid Shaheed hand Darnold a loaded passing menu in his second season under a new offensive coordinator. Then General Manager John Schneider spent his first-round pick on a runner out of Notre Dame, and the move quietly rewired the entire backfield. The selection looks small on the surface. The reasoning behind it reshapes how Seattle attacks on Sundays, and the full answer waits later in this breakdown. The bigger storm is brewing inside the division. The Los Angeles Rams dragged Seattle to the final minute of the conference championship, and the whole West reloaded around the champions all offseason. So, is anyone in the division built to catch them, or does the throne stay locked in the Pacific Northwest? The defense gives one answer, the free agent market gives another, and the quarterback nobody believed in might hold the loudest answer of all. Start there. But before we jump into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Seahawks and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 1,000 on this video for Seahawks. Sam Darnold spent years buried under the label of a bust, and Seattle handed him a clean slate last offseason. He answered with the finest football of his life. He threw for more than 4,000 yards behind an offense built on timing and play action, and his completion rate stayed near the top of the league. His passer rating ranked among the best in the sport, the doubt used to define him. Now the analysts at NFL.com list him among their dark horse most valuable player candidates heading into the new season, and the projection carries real weight. Here's why the case holds up. This is Darnold's second year inside the system, and new offensive coordinator Brian Fleury inherits a quarterback who already owns the spacing, the reads, and the rhythm. Year 2 is where quarterbacks make their leap. Darnold no longer learns the concepts. He commands them. The interception total and the fumble total sat too high last season, and trimming those two numbers turns a strong year into a special one. The ceiling here is higher than anyone outside Seattle wants to admit. The doubters will point at the weapons and call him a passenger. The numbers reject the lazy take. Darnold lifted the floor of every receiver around him, and he did it while Seattle leaned on the run and a smothering defense. With Kenneth Walker now gone, Darnold might shoulder an even larger share of the offense in his second season. If he carries the load and the champions stay on top of the West, the most valuable player chatter becomes a genuine campaign. And the unit responsible for carrying Seattle to a title waits on the other side of the ball. Seattle won a championship on the strength of its defense, and mandatory minicamp made one truth obvious. The champions refused to coast. The first-team defense swarmed the field and stacked takeaways, while plenty of title teams would mail in a June practice. Head coach Mike McDonald built the stingiest scoring unit in football, and he runs it without a rigid blueprint. He shapes the defense around the strengths of his players, and a system with no fixed shape becomes the hardest puzzle in the league for an offense to solve. The new faces made the loudest noise. Safety, DeAnthony Bell, jumped a pass in the flat and nearly took it the distance for a pick six, a play decisive enough to settle a roster battle. Seattle added Rodney Thomas II and Noah Igbinoghene to the secondary, and both arrived understanding the deal. Special teams reps are the entry fee for a roster spot on a champion. The competition on the back end runs deeper than almost any team in the sport, and McDonald rewards every player who earns his snaps. the most intriguing development sits at safety. Nick Emmanwori spent the early week working pass, rush technique beside DeMarcus Lawrence, striking the bag like a true edge rusher. The second year, safety carries the frame of a linebacker and the range of a defensive back. And McDonald keeps inventing new ways to deploy him. A defense this deep, this young, and this hungry raises one uncomfortable question. If the champions are loaded enough to develop a safety into a pass rusher, why on earth did they let one of their most gifted starters walk out the door? Here's the take nobody in Philadelphia wants to hear. Seattle was right to let Rick Woolen walk. The Eagles handed Woolen a one-year deal worth up to $15 million, and the early buzz out of their offseason program paints him as the steal of free agency. Woolen is a physical marvel, 6'4" with track speed, the rare corner able to run stride for stride with the biggest receivers in the sport. On paper, losing a talent like him reads as a serious wound for the champions. Look closer and the wound disappears. Seattle re-signed Joshua Jobe to a 3-year, $24 million deal, roughly $8 million per season, half the cost of a full Woolen contract. Jobe outplayed Woolen down the stretch last year and earned public praise from Mike McDonald. He fits the zone-heavy structure. He understands his assignment and his alignment on every snap. The production between the two corners landed in the same neighborhood, and one of them cost the team far less money. The deeper truth is about fit. Woolen is a man coverage specialist on a defense built to disguise, rotate, and confuse, and the marriage never fully clicked. Seattle chose the cleaner, cheaper option and walked away with a ring anyway. Schneider banked the savings and the cap flexibility, and now the champions sit on real money in the slowest part of the calendar. So where does a defending champion spend this kind of room? The answer starts on the edge, where Seattle has been hunting all spring for one more proven name. Seattle entered this stretch with cap space and an obvious itch for another pass rusher, and the veteran market is loaded. The name, worth circling first, is Jadeveon Clowney. He racked up 8.5 sacks for the Dallas Cowboys last season. He knows the Pacific Northwest from his earlier run in Seattle, and he stuffs the run as well as he chases the quarterback. A rotational role behind a group of aging veterans fits him perfectly. The price will not break the bank, and the championship pitch sells itself to a hungry edge rusher. The other options carry weight too. Joey Bosa led the entire league in forced fumbles with 5, while adding 5.5 sacks for the Buffalo Bills, a wrecking force even a step past his prime. Cameron Jordan turned back the clock at age 36, leading the New Orleans Saints with 10.5 sacks, and the Saints have shown no urgency to bring him back. Both veterans want one thing at this stage of their careers: a ring. Seattle owns the exact pitch they crave more than money. The need is not limited to the edge. Ifeatu Melifonwu is a 6'3" safety who logged a career high in snaps for the Miami Dolphins and spent 4 seasons in Detroit, a versatile chess piece who covers, blitzes, and plays the run with force. Seattle already brought a veteran safety in for a workout, the same quiet due diligence the champions run every single June. Loading up only matters if it answers the teams chasing them, and the division reloaded all offseason with one shared goal: knock Seattle off the throne. The NFC West is the deepest division in football, and the champions know exactly who is coming. The Los Angeles Rams pushed Seattle to the wire in the conference title game, falling 31-27, and then they spent the offseason swinging for the fences. Los Angeles traded for Myles Garrett to torment quarterbacks, a message aimed straight at the champions. The Rams are the one team in football who gave Seattle real trouble, and they have no intention of backing down a single inch. San Francisco lurks the way it always does. The 49ers get Nick Bosa back from injury, and a healthy pass rush lifts their ceiling overnight. Arizona spent the 3rd overall pick on Notre Dame runner Jeremiah Love, a downhill weapon meant to drag the Cardinals back into the race. Every rival sharpened its roster with the champions in mind, because the road to the conference now runs straight through Seattle. The target on their backs is the largest in the entire sport, and the West intends to chase it down. Here's the gap nobody on the outside sees. McDonald owns the head-to-head edge schematically, and the roster runs deeper top to bottom than any rival in the division. Seattle answered its most painful offseason loss with a swing the rest of the league barely registered, a first-round pick aimed at one specific hole in the lineup. The runner from Notre Dame is the reason this offense looks different on Sundays, and the full story behind the pick finally snaps into focus right now. Kenneth Walker earned Super Bowl Most Valuable Player honors, ran for 135 yards in the title game, and then walked in free agency, signing a 3-year deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. Seattle let its champion runner leave and pocketed a projected compensatory pick in return. The reasoning sat waiting at pick number 32. Schneider used his first-round selection on Jadarian Price, a rookie running back out of Notre Dame, and the choice reshaped the entire backfield in a single night. Walker thrived inside a committee, splitting carries with a teammate and rarely topping 14 touches a game. Price profiles as a true workhorse. He brings patient vision, rare contact balance, and the durability to carry a full load, all traits Walker never got the chance to flash in Seattle's crowded rotation. The rookie also took 2 kickoffs to the house last season and housed 3 across his college career, which hands the champions a special teams weapon stacked on top of a feature back. The timing matters even more because Zach Charbonnet is rehabbing a torn ACL suffered in the playoffs, and his road back to the season opener stays uncertain. Seattle signed former Green Bay back Emmanuel Wilson for insurance and leaned on the rookie to anchor the room from day one. The champions turned a painful loss into a younger, cheaper, and more explosive backfield in the span of one offseason. So the only question left is the one every contender in the league wants answered. How far does this team go in the end? Seattle enters the season as the team to beat, and the schedule opens against the same Patriots they buried under the lights of Super Bowl 60. The champions return their quarterback, their offensive player of the year, the best defense in football, and a head coach who refuses to let a title team exhale. They finished 14-3 a year ago, claimed the number 1 seed, and surrendered fewer points than any roster in the league. Continuity is the rarest currency in the National Football League, and Seattle kept the heart of a champion intact while quietly upgrading the margins all around it. Here's the bold claim. Seattle wins 13 games, repeats as division champion, and nobody in the West is built to knock them off. The Rams will push. The 49ers will threaten. Neither one matches the depth, the coaching, or the defense, sitting inside Seattle right now. The division reloaded all offseason and still falls short, because the champions already answered every question the West dared to ask. The throne stays planted firmly in the Pacific Northwest for another full year. Now the floor belongs to you. Which free agent should Seattle sign before training camp opens? And does Sam Darnold finish the season as a Most Valuable Player finalist? Drop your prediction in the comments and subscribe before the next breakdown drops. The moment Seattle adds another veteran to this roster, a full film study goes live the same day. The champions are not done shopping, and the next move might be the one to lock up a repeat. The rest of the league already fears is coming.